What was it that we did wrong, officer?
You crossed. Take your camera and point it across there at the red hand. That is a crosswalk. One, you weren't in the crosswalk. Two, there was a red sign. You both crossed it.
Oh, my bad.
That's a $65 ticket apiece. Get to my car. You are being legally detained.
We just crossed the street. Without following the sign. That was it. And we got stopped.
The young man in this video's name is Devontae Shipman, and he stopped right here in Jacksonville, Florida, and threatened with jail time for essentially jaywalking.
You did do something illegal. You crossed the crosswalk.
Yeah, I crossed the crosswalk.
Against a red hand. I was sitting right there when you did it.
Wasn't paying no attention. That's not that. You act like I really just committed a serious crime that's worth this time right now.
It is worth the time. Walk to my car. I'm about to put you in jail.
It's not often we report on jaywalking. It's a minor infraction. We've even seen cops do it. Shipman would later say one of the officers told him he was just stopping him to make sure he didn't have any guns, knives, or drugs on him. They even questioned why his friend was wearing a hoodie.
You want me to walk around with no shirt? Then I'm gonna look more suspicious.
That's up to you.
No. Apparently you ain't got free will.
A shirt would make more sense to me than a hoodie.
Damn, this crazy, bro. A nigga can't even walk across the street. I guess it's because a nigga black, nigga can't do nothing. I guess, like, I look like I'm doing something wrong.
Shipman's story isn't unique, and it led us to question exactly how many people here in Jacksonville have experienced walking while black.
Listen to me. I am doing you a favor. I'm not telling you again. You got your ID on you?
No, I don't.
What's your name?
Devontae Shipman.
All right, so there's another infraction. In the state of Florida, you have to have an ID card on you identifying who you are. I can detain you up to 7 hours until I can figure out who you are.
Not only was Shipman given a $62 ticket for failing to obey a pedestrian signal, he was also cited for walking without an ID, which harkens back to troubling racist laws.
And to be clear, it's actually a citation that's meant for motorists, but the cop tried to give that ticket to Shipman anyway. That charge was eventually dropped.
The video struck a chord with thousands of people who shared it, and here in Jacksonville, many people can relate to Shipman's story.
Why would you stop two black men crossing at an intersection? I was shocked because it's like I didn't really think people actually get ticketed for things like this. You know what I mean? Like, especially not in that area. You got people that cross that intersection day and night, like continuously. So I'm trying to figure out, like, why was it this cop at this moment stopping us?
In Florida, there are 28 laws pedestrians must observe while walking. They include everything from jaywalking to walking on the wrong side of the road to failing to cross the road at a right angle or the shortest route. Yes, that's a thing.
We wanted to see how poverty and race factored into who's getting these tickets, so we requested data from the state. Here's what we found.
In the last 5 years, Duval County police officers handed out 2,208 pedestrian citations. The most given citation in Duval County was for failing to cross in a crosswalk between adjacent intersections with traffic lights. But here's the thing. We examined those 658 citations and found that 54% of them were not given in locations with adjacent traffic lights. They were legally permitted to cross, yet they still received a ticket.
If you're living in the county's 3 poorest zip codes, you're 5.9 times more likely to receive a pedestrian ticket than anyone else in Jacksonville.
And if you're black, you're 2.7 times more likely to get a pedestrian ticket than if you're white. 30% of Jacksonville's population is black, but they receive 55% of the pedestrian tickets. That's the highest percentage in Florida among large counties.
With high-profile incidents of black men encountering police all across the country, Shipman decided to film this.
You got people getting shot by police, you got people getting abused. It's just brutality that's just nonstop. So I just felt like I just needed to record it to prevent a situation.
Getting stopped for jaywalking can feel so absurd that on more than one occasion, a person has called the cops on the cops.
Jacksonville 911, what's going on there?
It's something that's going on, like a mile down the street, and I parked my 18-wheeler in the parking lot like a half a mile, and I'm trying to tell the officer that I parked right there. He don't want to hear nothing I got to say.
That's John Kendrick, a Jacksonville truck driver. He was trying to park his 18-wheeler in his leased parking spot when a police officer wouldn't let him pass through. Stunned, he moved his vehicle to the median and called 911. The dispatcher told him to get the officer's car number, but when he stepped off the sidewalk, the officer ordered him to the ground, handcuffed him, and ticketed him for a pedestrian violation.
But I was in the crosswalk at the time, and he still locked me up, kept me in the squad car for about 4 hours, 5 hours on the spot. The guy kept saying that you're not gonna have no job tomorrow, you're not gonna have no job tomorrow.
Kendrick received one of 387 tickets issued to people for walking in the roadway where sidewalks are provided. 78% of those tickets went to black people.
They just cruel, and they be cruel to black people. You know, I just hate to say it like that, but they be cruel, real cruel. They think that we won't fight, and that's what the problem is. They know that we're scared, that some people are scared to go to court. You know, me and I hired a lawyer, and we fought, and got the charges dropped.
We spoke to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and they aren't concerned about disparities. They believe the numbers simply reflect who's breaking the law. They also said they're enforcing the law to keep people safe. If their citation efforts result in just one less pedestrian death, they say it's a win.
One report ranked Jacksonville the 4th worst city in the country for pedestrian safety.
But does giving pedestrian tickets actually help make walking safer?
It's probably not a good use of resources to be ticketing people and having education and enforcement programs in place to regulate behavior that just isn't feasible and isn't possible because of the physical environment.
That's Andy Clark, who was hired by the city of Jacksonville to consult on pedestrian safety. After a year, Clark issued a master plan and wrote that no amount of enforcement will change behavior in this area. He concluded that the city should invest in better infrastructure before it writes tickets.
The reality is the physical environment, the infrastructure for walking and cycling is quite poor, and there aren't sidewalks. There's a disconnected bikeway network. There are very few crosswalks. There's high-speed roads that have very few opportunities to cross. I mean, it seems unfortunate to say the least and capricious at worst to be ticketing people for behavior that just isn't possible to do the right thing or be in the right place.
The master plan found that Jacksonville was simply behind the curve on pedestrian safety. The city hadn't mapped which roads had sidewalks and put bus stops on streets that didn't have them.
Experts agree that writing more pedestrian citations won't reduce the number of accidents.
And the data shows the people getting the tickets are mostly black, more likely to be poor, and they're walking in a city that just wasn't built for pedestrians.